Hello and welcome. I am Aruj alongside my co-host Dheeraj, and we are Knock Off the Perch, a Manchester United podcast. Hey Dheeraj, how is it going?
Yeah, it's all well. Just to set the context, we are two lifelong friends from India, united by our love for Manchester United. Our journey for United began well in childhood. We have experienced the highs and lows of the club together. So, with this podcast, what we aim to do is bring you the latest news about everything United.
Brilliant. So, in this first episode, we will be covering United's pre-season squad depth and whatever transfer rumors that we are hearing as things stand. So, let's begin.
Yeah, let's get started. And as always, we're here to knock them off the perch.
Yes, and quickly talking about some of the things that we have experienced together as Manchester United fans. I think, I don't know what, maybe 15 years back, Dheeraj, we talked about visiting Old Trafford. Before 2020, we sort of almost like had a pact, and yeah, it manifested itself in December 2019. So that was one of a kind experience. Hopefully we get to do that sometime.
Manchester United versus Newcastle United. Boxing Day.
Boxing Day,
as it gets.
yes, 4-1 victory.
Yep. All the strikers scored that day. All right. So that's not all from us. We will not only be talking about the games. We'll also be talking about the history of United. We'll be talking about stories which has made United the way it is right now. A lot of negativity around the club at all times, with so much commentary around every issue on and off the field. Our aim is to just reignite some positivity around the club, celebrating every victory and learning from every defeat. That is who we are. That is what we bring to this podcast.
Yes, and on that note, positivity, I think the club, the fans are experiencing some level of positivity, at least with the new ownership structure. I know Glazers still majority owners, but with Ineos and Sir Jamie Redcliffe, I think we're seeing some signs of a positive turnaround.
The new ownership as well as the new coaching staff.
Yes, I mean, I know there was a 17-day review, so to say, for Eric Ten Hag after the FA Cup victory. But I think all that in the past now, I have a feeling Ten Hag seems positive. I saw some of his interviews, some of the clips. In fact, I was scrolling through Reddit, and there was a brief 8-second clip that I came across where Eric Ten Hag is signing a fans United shirt, and Ten Hag is very chill. He is asking the fan to pull the shirt so that the signature comes out well, and suddenly this guy goes like, "I'm loving the 4-4 high press," and Eric Ten Hag gives a smirk as like, "Yeah, good, good." So yeah, it seems there is positivity with regard to how the club is moving on. But on that note, Dheeraj, what did you make of the preseason?
Yeah, I mean, again, most of the positive things other than the results, but preseason is never about the results. I feel most of the matches we saw what Eric Ten Hag is trying to do, the high press, the high transition football. Good thing from a good difference from the last year's games was we were creating a lot of chances this year. Most of the games we have created more chances than the opponent, so that was a bright positive. I think that was partly because of the way we set up the game. Most of our games were very high press games. Mount being central to that, our youngster Toby Collier being central to that. So yeah, that there's a lot of positives to see from pre-seasons. Most of the games, I get it. Like we had like 4 of the players would be start in the starting 11. So the results didn't go our way. But that being said, very delighted to see all the players getting some minutes in the tank. Getting their groove on. It's good to see a lot of youngsters also getting these minutes. Toby Collier, Harry Amas is a good find. Quickly found his feet in the team, especially in a position where we struggled a lot last year, left back.
Yeah, we had one of our left back who, for a period of time, we didn't know if he's still there.
Yeah.
And Shaw was perennially injured, so having a decent backup there would help. He seems really good in attacking play. I think defensively there is a lot of work to be done, but I think he could be a handy sort of player to have as part of the squad. And from what I'm reading, him, Collier, both of them will be in and around the first team. as the season goes. But specifically talking about the games, you spoke about results. Not really meaning too much as part of the preseason. Liverpool, I think Liverpool fans are very happy with the 3-0 victory. They are talking about the slot era and everything, but I think first half especially, United were the better team is what my sense was. I think the timings in India didn't allow me to watch the match live, but I did manage to catch on to some of the highlights and some of the reports around it. United were the better team despite not finishing, and I think not finishing is something that will need work. It was last season as well. I think there were times when we were still creating some chances, but finishing was below par.
Yeah, something which Eric Ten Hag reiterated after the game, that it wasn't for the lack of trying. We were still creating chances. We were still creating the better chances for a great part of the game. I mean, if you saw the way he played, Rashford and Ahmad totally ripped off. And Rashford was getting really forward, getting in a good position. Something which we haven't seen. His end product, which we weren't seeing last season. Last season was a bit downer for him, but yeah, in the preseason, Rashford has been refreshed. Ahmad seems to be the man for the preseason this time. He has made the right wing his own. I don't think there are any qualms about any two ways it's going the right wing position right now. At least for the starting of the season, I believe he has made the right wing position his own.
I agree, but I just feel that Garnacho, for what all he did last season, I think you're right. At the start of the season, with lack of match fitness for Garnacho, I don't think he starts. I think most likely Rashford and Ahmad start on the either wings. But I have a big question in my mind: when Garnacho is up and running, does he replace either of the two, or then it will come down to each week who's performing better?
That is what it's going to be. Healthy rivalry between both are youngsters. Both will be vying for the minutes, and it always helps. Squad depth is never a bad thing. It's the brilliant problem to have. In fact, Ahmad, Garnacho, Anthony. We forget that Anthony is still in the club, unable to sell him to any Saudi club, any other club. Fine, okay, we take what we have. But yeah, there is a good squad depth in the attacking positions, at least now that we think about it.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope that Rashford comes good. He looks lively. He looks... and with Rashford, you can tell. It's almost like you can see that he is in the groove or not. Last season, when he was not in the groove, the body language wasn't at its best. He wasn't, looking as lively as he was, let's say, the year before. But in the preseason at least, and again, preseason can be deceiving at times. So I'm not fully convinced that Rashford is back, so to say, but I hope he turns it around. But we have enough squad depth. I mean, Garnacho and Ahmad on left and right is also a great combination to have. Well, I'm fine with that.
One brilliant thing about our attacking this time is they have all the, attacking moves from our very own best was a Road Van Nistelrooy. He will be one to watch. He could have had any managerial position in the world. He had offers, in fact, but he chose to come to United as an assistant manager. Said there was no two thoughts in his mind when it came about him working with Rasmus, him working with a new signing Xerxes, him working with Rashford. That these are some things which I'm really looking forward to in the season.
Absolutely. Let's delve a little deeper. I mean, I was trying to do a bit of a reading. I think the year before is when Nistelrooy was PSV Eindhoven's manager. They finished second. I think they did really well from an attacking standpoint. And so getting Ruud van Nistelrooy as one of the assistant managers is a superb sort of, I'll almost call him a coaching signing at this point in time. So I think that could do wonders for us. I hope the bedding period is less and we get on with it as quickly as possible. In fact, there were certain rumors doing the round saying players are adapting to or understanding Ruud van Nistelrooy a little more than they sort of react to Eric Ten Hag. So I don't know how much truth is there to that.
Something which has to do with him having a legend status in the club. His 4 or 5 years at the club Like
Yeah.
he was at top of the game. So many players from that era, I hear them that he was the most complete center forward they have ever played with in their lives. So yeah, that is going to wash off the players. Someone who knows what it means to be a United player week in, week out. He knows what the pressures are. He knows what the maybe social media wasn't there, but he knows what the pressure is. You need a certain kind of personality to be a Manchester United player. We talk about personality a lot of times, and his personality was top notch. He was one of the. I remember him having battles with Cristiano Ronaldo at that point of time. There were like
Yeah.
a lot of friction because both players had such strong personality. Ronaldo, even though he was like just 17, 18 years old, he still had that Manchester United personality about him. So yeah, excited to watch Road and what he does to the team.
And I think those were the days when we were selling our 30-year-olds to Real Madrid. So
Yep, yep.
I think Rude was 30 when we sold him. We got the best out of him. But yeah, times have changed. Now we are with our chubby cheeks, Casemiro. I think we spoke about forwards. I think maybe we can spend a little time on the midfield.
Yeah.
Pre-season wise, I think Casemiro has been a hit and a miss, right? He's been the biggest name in midfield who's been available.
Oh yeah, Casemiro and Mount, I'd say.
Mount.
Yeah, Mount has been so. Most of our pressing game has had Mount and
Mount central to it.
Yeah, Mount central to it, and Mount. I feel he has a good tactical intelligence to him because I've seen his end product being good. Only thing which has been lacking, and I won't say it is lacking. It's just lack of game time. I feel which it was his finishing. It was his end shooting. But other than that, all good decisions all the time. In fact, if you saw the Arsenal game in the first half, he was the most foul player in the game.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, doing good things. Mount, I think, he's claiming one spot in the midfield. Bruno has just entered the fray, but preseason Mount
Bruno is super fit.
Bruno is super fit. Bruno was in training camp in his 2 weeks break, what he likes to call it a break. He was working out with other players. Bruno is Bruno.
We will come to the potential starting 11 maybe in the second part of this, but continuing our thought process with regard to mids, I think I agree with what you were saying in terms of finishing. I had it in my notes as well. He seemed very lively, pressing very well. I think his contribution in finishing could have been better in the preseason, but I think he is a bit of a streaky player. With regard to that, he hasn't had the game time at United so far to sort of get into the groove like that. But I remember from his Chelsea days, especially from an FPL standpoint, when I would follow him, and I think he would be one of those who would get into goals and then over a period of 5-6 games provide a lot of FPL returns as well.
Yeah.
So that was attacking midfield. I think we mostly played with a holding midfielder and sort of like Collier in some cases Ericsson was playing that almost like a box to box in a way, would support in defense also, would press high up as well. Or yes, the 8 role. So talking about the 6, I think Casemiro played almost every game in pre-season there.
He had some part in every game, yes.
Yeah, he played every game. Real Betis, I think, was the standout performance. Everybody was like, there is a possibility we can get another good season out of him and stuff. But Liverpool, I think defensively, I think a team which has that level of pressing when they are attacking us, and just the level of speed, I think he's a yard slower than possibly the top players today.
Yeah, we noticed that in the far end of the last season as well, that his legs were gone, not just deep into the games, like even during the games, he has not lost 1 yard of pace. He's lost quite a few, and yeah, it's tough seeing that, and for a player of that potential, for a player of that legendary caliber. Yeah, so it's very difficult to see him struggling in the Premier League. His first season was great. We thought we had made a bargain for 50 billion. Second season couldn't follow up on the same, and all sorts of rumors, trying to sell him off. Unlikely that will happen. see, his presence in the midfield is still a big thing. We heard our young defensive midfielder Toby Collier talking about how just his presence, just the presence of Casemiro has been great for him, learning pointers from him, learning how to deal with big games. So it's not merely how he plays in 90 minutes, it's also what he brings outside in training, in recovery. All of these little pointers also add up to the kind of player which we have on our hands now.
No, I agree. I think he obviously having won 5 Champions League, multiple La Liga titles, and you see that in some of the big games, right? In the Carabao Cup last year, I think you saw that he sort of stood up there and delivered when it mattered. We were not necessarily playing great in that game against Newcastle 2-0, but he stood up when that mattered. And similar was the case with Rafa Varane, for example, right? Last year FA Cup, this last season FA Cup, he hadn't played a lot, but he just came together for the FA Cup final.
Very, very sad to see Rafa leave. Very sad. I mean, he was one player who led United. He was very clear initially that, only club he would have left for Real was United. I felt there were other defenders who could have left before Rafa.
But I think it was a logical choice for United to, because of the wages that he was on, the kind of injury record that he has had. I think for him to continue playing at the top level, I don't think he would have given us more than 20-25 games a season. And for the wages
he was on the, but when he was on the pitch, like he used to be our best defender. Him and Lita have been the best defensive partnership in the last 2-3 years we have had, right?
I would say a decade.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better centre back pairing than the two.
Phil Jones and Mike Smalling had a better run under Jose and under Anhala. I think that was one of our best defensive seasons of the decade.
Statistics wise, yes, but I think purely based on how these guys were dominating. If I remember correctly, we had a very good defensive record in Ten Hag's first season, right?
So we had a decent. We had the most number of clean sheets that season.
David De Gea.
Yeah. Farewell season he got a Golden Glove, correct?
Yeah. So, but I think that had a lot to do with him having Varane and Licha Martinez in front of him.
Definitely did.
Yeah. Anything else on mid? We jumped to Varane and got into talking about defense, but anything else on mid?
Toby Collier.
Yes. Toby Collier, in my opinion, definitely, I think somebody who could break out this season. But I think with Menu already doing that 8 role, I don't see a lot of opportunities for him, but I think he will be in and around the squad. The question will be that in order to continue his development, does he need to go out on a loan to get regular game time, or does he sort of stick around with the squad and be available as and when required, probably play some Carabao games, maybe some Europa League games?
It totally depends on what happened in the last 2-3 weeks of the transfer window. We still have Eriksen, Casemiro, Mount, Bruno, who else? Maino. These are the ones on our roster right now, midfield.
Yes.
We are associated with a ton of midfield options right now, as we always are. But depends on the.
We have Hannibal as well.
Hannibal as well. Yeah. Hannibal arrived very late back from international duty.
And you're missing the great Scott.
Oh, Scott McTominay.
Yes.
Yeah. Scott McTominay, I still feel is a good squad player. He's not a first 11 player. Of course, if we can get a healthy 40 million out of him, great. But
I think we're talking about 30 million euros. No, Fulham is not paying that much.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, I see. With Scott, you have to see that since Mourinho, every manager has played with Scott in the team. We've had.
He's a great personality. There is no doubt about the fact that he's a great personality. I think we were earlier talking about in pre-discussion of this podcast. We were talking about capability and potential. I think there is only a level of capability that he can display or he has. So beyond that, I don't think there's a possibility to sort of extract much out of him. Ten Hag, I think, done a decent job because you can't keep him at a number 6 or a number 8 and expect us to control the game. So I think he has tried him in that 10 spot, 9 spot at times.
Yeah.
Which was yeah, just like Zirkzee. But yeah, so I think which is fair for a squad player like him to sort of have. But in the long run, I think if there is a right deal for him, I think he should be making the move. It will be good for both the parties, actually.
And we also have to see which player we get in that amount, 35 million range. Is there someone who will get us more results than McTominay did? You have to understand that McTominay off late has been one of our better forward players. For a good amount of the season last year, he was our top scorer, in fact.
Correct.
So, have to understand in 35 million, which
let's maybe discuss positions. I think then we will have this answer to if we can have a 35 million replacement for him. I think the biggest issue right now is a 6, right? We have Casemiro there. Yes, we have Casemiro there, but there is this understanding that we need somebody else. So whether it is selling a McTominay and replacing it, getting the deal for another 6. Ugarte, we are saying we are not chasing Ugarte anymore. Zubimendi, we are probably Liverpool is going for him. And then there are a few others, right? Fofana deal hijack is being talked about. There's this guy Richard Rios. I don't know much about him, so
there's this guy. I don't know if you've heard about him. Frankie De Jong also being associated with the.
Frankie De Jong is becoming the new Wesley Sneijder. I think.
Yes.
Every year we talk about Frankie De Jong. Apparently, he wants to reunite with Erik Ten Hag, just like De Ligt, but the deal never. I'm not even counting the.
Most of the fans, most of the public sentiment around De Jong has been the deal had been struck 2 years back, and he was the one who refused the move to United. So now a deal at 30 to 40 million is being talked about very strongly. But again, the wages he is at 600k. The wages he is at Barcelona, that is being talked about, yeah, a lot.
That's what I think. From what I heard, I and this could be just another one of those rumors which got me on social media. But from what I heard, during the COVID period, they had a deal with the players to say that okay, you guys take a bit of a pay cut, and we will reimburse you for the same. So I think when 2 years back we were talking about it, I think Barcelona was not paying up that, so to say, the arrear amount, which was due to him, which is why he wanted to stick around, get that, and all of that. So I don't know what has happened of that. Was it actually the scenario or not? But 600k a week. That's
Including bonuses.
I don't think we need that big in.
I don't think Ineos will go for that anymore.
Yeah,
we are already seeing signs of the United tax being removed in so many deals. We walked up the Brathwaite deal. We walked up the Ugarte. We are walking off the Ugarte deal as we speak. We got a
even with De Ligt, there are rumors that we are not budging so much on our proposed fee.
Yeah,
so you never know. We are not hearing much about another centre back as yet. I have a hunch, and this is not a good hunch. I think we will get Sofiane Amrabat back as a backup to Casemiro. Probably not for 20 millions. We'll strike a better deal, 10 to 15 million, and that is going to be our Casemiro backup.
I'm not the biggest Amrabat fan. I think we've seen enough of Amrabat last season. I don't think 2 or 3 good games warrant comeback for Amrabat this season. I feel there are better options out there. I feel there are better options on a free out there. We have a Rabiot out there who is currently free. I feel Rabiot will be a better.
But with Rabiot, you have to deal with his mother as well. So I don't know how easy it is going to be to do that. But Yeah, but I think that broadly covers our six. The short answer is we need another six.
Yeah.
Whether towards the end of the window, strange things can happen towards the end of the transfer window. Casemiro stays or not, I am still not 100% sure. But we need a six. So I think that is there. The in eight, I think what we have Menu as a starter from what I
Yeah.
see, Ericsson as a backup,
And Mount can play there as well.
yeah, but last season when Mount and Bruno were on the field together, it just wasn't clicking. I don't know what
Yeah.
is the deal with that. But yeah, you are right. When required, Mount can play. So I think 8 is fairly okay. And 10, we have Bruno and Mount as backup. If Bruno, as Ten Hag was saying, plays false 9, then Mount can play at 10. So I think from that combination, it stands out. It works out well. Who
He missed out on
that?
talking about Sancho as well. And during attack, Sancho has been a good spark. We haven't heard anything overly negative. I feel the hatchet is buried, truly buried between him and Ten Hag this season. Ten Hag has only spoken positive things about him, and we are hearing that he might start at false nine role in the coming Community Shield. So it's between him and Bruno are the reports we read, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I would differ slightly on if the relationship between Ten Hag and Sancho is repaired. I think both the parties are deciding to be professional in this case. Probably because it enhances the chances of selling Sancho as well. Probably it keeps his transfer fee intact of whatever it is, 30-40 million. So it keeps that intact if he has game time and if he's not shunned away from the squad. Plus, I think he's a decent player to have around in the squad. But I, for one, don't think Ten Hag is really forgiven him, so to say. But I think there's a bit of a Ineos play in here, I think, which is why he's been brought back into the fore. So I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if Sancho were to leave. However, if he's there, I think he's possibly our third option at left wing after Rashford and Garnacho, who could switch in that either way. And he couldn't play false nine. But I think once Zirkzee is up and running, he has had a few training sessions and a couple of substitute appearances. I think he could be starting there, and once Rasmus is back, it will be between Rasmus and Zirkzee. So Sancho, if you can get a 35-40 million out of him, nothing like it, to be honest.
Great, great. Okay, I think we can safely start talking about the defense now.
All right. So in defense, I'm not reading too much into the preseason. To be very honest, I think in the final match, our backline was Bissaka, Evans, Lindelof, and Harry Amas. I don't see either of them being our first 11 defenders. So I'm not reading too much into how poorly we played in defense at times, having conceded 5 goals in the games against Betis and Liverpool, and if we count 2 against Arsenal, 7 goals in the 3 preseason games. So I think let's go player by player. Our starting 11 in the larger scheme of things is going to be Dalot at right back. Van Bissaka is currently a backup to him, in my opinion. Strong rumors to West Ham again. The wages, it seems like, is a bit of a challenge, and unless he's sold, we don't get Mazraoui in. I think Mazraoui coming in can be a good addition to the squad. One, primarily because Van Bissaka is on the last year of his contract. I don't see necessarily him being a player that should be in our scheme of things in like 3-4 years. So that should give decent competition to Dalot as well. Left back, Shaw, Malacia, I don't know what to say about him, and Harry Amas. I'm okay because then Dalot can play left back as well. I think Mazraoui can play left back as well if required. So I think fairly okay. Centre back, now I think that has been the bone of contention since last year. Let's begin on centre backs. What do you think, Dheeraj? What is our centre back situation like?
Yeah, there is some sort of uncertainty when it comes to centre backs. Our best centre back pairing would be Licha and Euro. Euro, after signing, sadly, is on the surgery table for about 3 months now. He'll be out for 3 months. So that brings us about the fit central defenders to be Licha, Evans, Maguire, Lindelof, with rumors of Delit going on. So if Delit comes through, Licha and Delit would be the starters for me, going without saying. In his absence, I believe Maguire and Licha would be the ones who we can see starting the season out this.
Yeah, I broadly agree. And even with Euro, I think brilliant potential. I mean, he's probably the one for the next 10 years if things pan out well. Only thought was that maybe he is too raw, hasn't experienced Premier League so much, so I wasn't counting on him being a starter right away. I was anyways thinking it will take a couple of months for him to settle in, and if things play out well, he could be a starter at that point in time. But now with the injury, I think Maguire and Licha is our first combination. How things stands as of today, if there is a breakthrough in the Delict deal, we obviously will see Delict and Licha, which could be a decent pairing, to be very honest. That could be exciting. So I agree. I agree largely. In terms of outgoings, I think there were some rumors about Lindelof being looked at by Italian and Turkish clubs.
And Bissaka are the ones who are being connected with
Moves
getting in. Yeah.
And then we'll sign 1-1 each.
A right back and a centre back. I don't think Harry Amas was a good revelation during the preseason. I told you he's one of the players who showed a lot of courage on the left wing. He was not afraid to take on the defenders. Was not afraid to go run through the channel. He was having a good partnership with Rashford as well. Defensively a bit lacking, but like Eric Ten Hag said, in 2 to 3 months they would have made him into a probably not, if not a starting left back, maybe a rotation player for.
I would agree, and in fact I was just going through some of the first two preseason games, like the game they played in Norway and then against Rangers. I think and I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but what was happening in those matches was Murray was starting the first half and Amas would come in the second half. It would almost give you a flavor that, okay, Murray is above the pecking order than Amas, but eventually it was Amas who was starting the games first, and then it was Murray. So it seems like he's taken over him in the pecking order as well. So, and with Malaysia, we don't know what is happening. Shaw's injury record, I think Amas could just get a few opportunities like Kamwala last season.
Yeah, Malaysia, Eric Ten Hag has revealed that it's still outlined. He's just started work on the grass, and it will be another at least a month or two before we see him taking part in the training activities.
So yeah, I think he's a fair distance away from actually being part of the squad first.
We could see Amas as a Luke Shaw backup start of the season.
Yeah. No, great. So I think that rounds up the entire squad, what our thought process with regard to the preseason was. And looking forward to the season. Up next, we have the Community Shield. And I think in the second part, we'll talk a little more about that.
Thanks for listening, folks. See you next week.
This is our perch. Let's knock him off. Until next time, stay united.